A normal day was being lived in the tribe. Children were laughing and having fun and running around. The old people of the tribe were chatting and evaluating the day, making comments about the people they saw. Lovers were spending loving times by the seaside and having a good time. There was a mysterious and lonely cave in the tribe. This was a cave that the old people spoke of with hesitation. Our old wise man had dedicated himself to solving the mystery of the cave, and after that thought, the events stopped in order, forces around him. Despite his confusion, he wasn't ready to back down. His pride would not let him. The bully's realization. The bully for the first time hesitated. His body was strong, but his spirit faltered as the realization slowly dawned on him. There were forces far greater than his own strength. His eyes darted around the cave, noticing the glowing symbols that now illuminated the chamber. His fear mixed with anger, and his breathing became ragged. "Fight me!" he yelled in frustration, but his voice echoed back at him as though the cave itself was mocking his desperation. The elder stood firm, his hands still resting on the symbols. He understood that this moment was not about fighting but about teaching. The powers that had been awakened were not just to punish, they were to transform. The spirits of the cave speak. As the symbols pulsed with light, a deep rumbling sound echoed from the depths of the earth. The air thickened, and both men could feel the presence of something ancient, something that was now watching them closely. The bully, sweating profusely, took a step back, his confidence now replaced by fear. But it was too late. The judgment of the spirits had begun. A voice, old and gravelly, resonated within the walls of the cave, though it spoke no words. Instead, it communicated through feeling, through vibrations in the air, through the energy in the earth beneath their feet. The bully felt his legs grow weak as the voice seemed to speak directly to his soul. It was not words but emotions, anger, sadness, and regret, rushed over him in waves, forcing him to confront parts of himself he had long buried. The bully's inner struggle. In his mind's eye, the bully saw images from his past. Moments of cruelty, moments where he had used his strength to dominate others. He saw faces not of enemies, but of people who had once been his friends, family even, all hurt by his actions. For the first time he felt the weight of his decisions, of his actions. The elder watched in silence, knowing that this was the cave's doing. The young man was being shown the truth of his soul. And yet, the elder did not move to comfort him. This was a necessary process, one that the bully had to face on his own. The transformation. The bully's knees hit the ground. Tears streamed down his face as the overwhelming emotions consumed him. He had thought strength was about physical power, but now for the first time he understood that true strength came from within, from wisdom, from restraint, from empathy. The symbols on the walls dimmed slightly as if the spirits of the cave were watching, waiting to see what he would do next. The elder, still standing calmly, approached him. "It is not too late," he said softly. "You can still change. But the path you walk from here on is yours to choose." For a moment there was silence. The bully, once full of rage and arrogance, now looked up at the elder with a new understanding. His anger was gone, replaced by a deep sense of regret and humility. He nodded slowly, accepting the elder's words. The cave's blessing. As the bully stood up, the cave seemed to react. The symbols on the walls began to glow again, but this time, it was a soft, warm light. The rumbling stopped and the tension in the air eased. The cave, in its own way, had accepted the transformation. It was as though the spirits had seen the change in the young man's heart and granted him a second chance. The elder smiled, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. "The spirits have spoken. Your strength is now tempered by wisdom. Use it well." The two men walked toward the entrance of the cave together, leaving behind the darkness and stepping into the light of a new day. The bully was no longer a bully. He was now a man on a path of redemption. A new beginning. As they exited the cave, the village that once feared the bully would soon learn of his transformation. The elder knew that it wouldn't be easy for the young man to change his ways entirely, but with the lessons learned from the ancient powers of the cave, he had the wisdom to guide him. The elder looked back at the cave one last time, whispering a silent prayer of thanks to the spirits within. He knew that the ancient powers had once again reminded them all that true strength comes not from force, but from the heart and mind. The village's reaction. As the elder and the young man stepped into the sunlight, the village beyond the cave began to stir. Word of the events in the cave had reached the villagers, and a small group had gathered near the entrance, anxiously waiting for the two figures to emerge. As they saw the young man walking humbly beside the elder, a murmur spread through the crowd. For a moment the young man hesitated, unsure of how the village would react to him now. Would they still fear him? Would they remember the harm he had caused? But as he stepped forward, he saw something unexpected in their eyes, not fear but hope. The village elder had often spoken of the ancient cave, of its power to change the hearts of men. And now, seeing the young man transformed, the villagers began to smile. Children who once ran from him now approached with curiosity, and the adults who had feared his strength now saw the humility in his posture. A path of redemption. The young man knelt before the village, a gesture of humility and remorse. I have wronged you all, he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. But I have learned that true strength is not in my fists, but in my heart and mind. I ask for your forgiveness. There was silence for a moment, then a murmur of approval. The village elder stepped forward, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. You are forgiven, he said, his voice soft but powerful. Now rise and walk the path of wisdom. The crowd began to cheer, and as the young man rose to his feet, the weight of his past lifted from his shoulders. He had been given a second chance and he would not waste it. A new chapter. As the sun set over the village, the young man and the elder walked side by side through the streets. The villagers welcomed him into their homes, inviting him to share in their meals and stories. For the first time in many years, the young man felt a sense of belonging, not because of his strength, but because of the respect he had earned through his humility and wisdom. The elders smiled, knowing that the spirits of the cave had done their work. The young man was no longer a bully, but a guardian of the village, someone who would use his strength to protect and serve, not to dominate and destroy. Together they looked back at the cave in the distance, a reminder of the power that lay within, not just the cave but within themselves. After the villagers welcomed the young man back, life in the village began to change. Word of the transformation in the cave spread beyond their borders, attracting the attention of other nearby villages. People began to travel from far and wide to witness the ancient powers of the cave and learn from the elder and the young man who had undergone such a profound transformation. The elder, sensing the importance of this new chapter, decided it was time for both him and the young man to embark on a journey, one that would lead them to distant lands, where they would seek the wisdom of other elders and share the lessons of the cave. The pilgrimage. Their journey took them through dense forests, across rivers and over mountains. Each new village they visited brought them new insights, but also new challenges. Some people welcomed them with open arms, eager to learn from the elder and hear the story of the cave. Others, however, were more skeptical. Some leaders in these villages feared the power that the elder and the young man represented, thinking they might undermine their own rule. In one such village, they encountered a chief who ruled with an iron fist, much like the young man had before his transformation. This chief refused to believe in the ancient powers of the cave or the wisdom of the spirits. He challenged the elder, insisting that physical strength was the only true power. The challenge? The young man, now wiser and more patient, watched as the chief tried to provoke the elder into a fight. The chief boasted of his conquests, of how he had built his power through force and fear. The young man could see himself in this chief, a mirror of his past self, still trapped in the belief that power could only be achieved through dominance. The elder, however, did not rise to the challenge. Instead, he spoke softly, telling the chief the story of the cave, of how the young man had once believed as he did. But the chief was not swayed. He demanded a test of strength, a trial by combat. The young man stepped forward, not with aggression but with calm determination. He knew this would be a different kind of fight. It would not be about fists or fury, but about proving that true strength lay in restraint and wisdom. The trial. The two men faced each other in the village square, surrounded by villagers who had come to watch. The chief, confident in his physical prowess, charged at the young man, expecting to overpower him with sheer force. But the young man, now tempered by his experiences, did not meet force with force. Instead, he sidestepped the chief's attacks, using the energy of the fight to redirect his opponent's power. With each movement, the young man demonstrated control, not just over his body but over his emotions. He no longer fought with rage or fear. The chief, growing frustrated, lashed out harder, but each attack was met with calm deflection. Finally, the young man spoke, "Strength is not about how hard you hit. It's about knowing when not to hit." The chief, exhausted and humiliated, fell to his knees. For the first time, he understood what the young man was trying to teach him. The power he had built through fear was fragile. True strength came from within.